Right now, as you're watching this, your brain is lying to you. Not once, not twice, but thousands of times per second. And the worst part? You have no idea it's happening. You think you see reality as it is. You think your memories are accurate. You think you're making rational decisions. But I'm about to prove to you that almost everything you believe about how your brain works is wrong. I'm Richard Feynman, and I've spent my life studying the fundamental nature of reality, from quantum mechanics to the behavior of subatomic particles. But today I'm going to show you something even more unsettling. Your brain is not designed to show you the truth. It's designed to keep you alive. And those two things are not the same. What I'm about to reveal will shake your confidence in your own perception, your own memories, your own thoughts. But understanding these lies is the first step to seeing reality more clearly. Are you ready to have your mind unsettled? Let's begin. Let me start with a simple demonstration. Look around the room you're in right now. You see a complete, seamless picture of your environment, right? Everything is in focus, everything is clear, everything is detailed. But that's the first lie. The truth is, you only have sharp, detailed vision in an area about the size of your thumbnail held at arm's length. That's it. That tiny spot in the center of your visual field called the fovea. Everything else, your entire peripheral vision, is actually quite blurry, low resolution, and lacking in color detail. Don't believe me? Try this. Without moving your eyes from this screen, try to read anything in your peripheral vision. You can't. But somehow, you still feel like you're seeing everything clearly. Why? Because your brain is filling in the gaps. It's taking that tiny bit of high-resolution information from your fovea and constructing an elaborate, detailed illusion of your entire visual field. It's painting in details that aren't there, based on expectations, memories, and assumptions. And this is just the beginning. This is the simplest, most basic lie your brain tells you. The lies go much, much deeper. Let me tell you about one of the most fascinating lies your brain tells. The blind spot. Right now, in each of your eyes, there's a spot where you're completely blind. It's where your optic nerve connects to your retina. There are no photoreceptors there, no rods, no cones. Light hitting that spot generates no signal whatsoever. This blind spot is not small. If you were looking at someone's face from a few feet away, their entire face would disappear if it fell on your blind spot. Yet you've probably never noticed it in your entire life. Why not? Because your brain is constantly lying to you about it. It's filling in that blind spot with fabricated information based on the surrounding visual field. It's literally making up what should be there and inserting it seamlessly into your perception. Your brain is doing this every single moment of every single day, and you never notice. You walk around thinking you see reality, but you're actually seeing a heavily edited, fabricated version of reality constructed by your brain. But vision is just the start. The lies go far deeper than what you see. Now let's talk about memory, one of the most profound and disturbing lies your brain tells. You remember your childhood, right? You remember important events, conversations, experiences. You trust these memories. They feel real, vivid, authentic. They're part of your identity. But here's the truth that most people find deeply unsettling. Your memories are not recordings. They're reconstructions. And every time you remember something, you change it. Let me explain how memory actually works, because it's nothing like what people imagine. When you experience something, your brain doesn't store it like a video file. Instead, different aspects of that experience are stored in different parts of your brain. The visual details might be in your visual cortex, the emotional content in your amygdala, the spatial information in your hippocampus, the sounds in your auditory cortex. When you recall a memory, your brain doesn't play back a recording. It gathers these scattered fragments and reconstructs them into a coherent narrative. But here's the critical part. This reconstruction is influenced by your current emotional state, your current beliefs, your expectations, and information you've learned since the original event. Psychologist Elizabeth Loftus has conducted hundreds of studies on memory, and her findings are disturbing. She's shown that memories can be easily manipulated, distorted, and even completely fabricated without the person ever knowing. In one famous study, she convinced people they had been lost in a shopping mall as a child, an event that never happened. She did this simply by having family members casually mention it a few times. Within weeks, subjects were recalling vivid details of this completely fictional event. What the mall looked like, how scared they felt, who found them. Your brain fabricated these details to create a coherent story, and the subjects couldn't tell the difference between this false memory and their real ones. Even more disturbing, every time you recall a memory, you're most vulnerable to modifying it. The act of remembering actually destabilizes the memory, and when your brain restores it, it incorporates new information, new interpretations, new emotional colorings. So that vivid childhood memory you have? You've probably recalled it hundreds of times over the years. Each time, you've slightly modified it. The memory you have now might bear little resemblance to what actually happened. You're remembering your memory of your memory of your memory. Layers of distortion piled on top of each other. Your brain is lying to you about your past. Here's another unsettling truth. You're not experiencing the present moment. You're experiencing the past. Light takes time to travel from objects to your eyes. Your retina takes time to convert that light into neural signals. Those signals take time to travel along your optic nerve to your brain. Your brain takes time to process and interpret those signals. All of this takes about 80 to 100 milliseconds, roughly 1/10 of a second. That means everything you see is actually what happened 1/10 of a second ago. You're living in the past. Now you might think, 1/10 of a second? That's nothing. But your brain knows this delay could be dangerous. If you're about to be hit by something, 1/10 of a second delay in perception could be the difference between life and death. So what does your brain do? It lies to you. It predicts where things should be, and shows you that instead of where things actually are. It's constantly running a predictive model of reality and presenting that model to your consciousness as if it were direct perception. This is why you can catch a ball. The ball you're reaching for isn't where you see it. It's ahead of that position. But your brain predicts where it will be and adjusts your movements accordingly. It's showing you a fabricated future, not the actual present. Most of the time, these predictions are accurate, but sometimes they fail spectacularly, and that's when you experience illusions, mirages, or perceptual errors. Your brain is not showing you reality as it is. It's showing you a prediction of what reality probably is. Let me tell you about one of the most famous experiments in neuroscience, an experiment that reveals just how deeply your brain lies to you about your own decisions. In the 1980s, neuroscientist Benjamin Libet conducted a revolutionary experiment. He asked subjects to move their finger whenever they felt the urge to do so. They were told to note the exact moment they made the conscious decision to move. Meanwhile, Libet was monitoring their brain activity with electrodes. What he found was shocking. The brain showed activity indicating it was preparing to move the finger about 350 milliseconds before the subject reported consciously deciding to move it. Think about that. Your brain was already preparing to move before you decided to move. The conscious experience of making a decision came after the brain had already initiated the action. So who made the decision? It wasn't the conscious you. It was unconscious processes in your brain. but your conscious mind experienced it as if you had made the decision. Your brain created the illusion of conscious choice after the fact. This finding has been replicated and expanded in countless studies. We now know that many of our decisions are made by unconscious brain processes, and our conscious mind just creates a story about why we made that decision. Your brain is not just lying about what you perceive, it's lying about who's in control. This is called confabulation, when your brain makes up stories to explain actions it doesn't understand. And it happens constantly. There's a famous case of split brain patients, people whose corpus callosum, the connection between brain hemispheres, has been severed. Researchers would show an image to only the right hemisphere and ask the patient why they did something in response. The left hemisphere, which controls language but didn't see the image, would immediately make up a logical sounding explanation. The patient would confidently explain their behavior, completely unaware they were fabricating the entire story. We all do this. Every single day. We make decisions based on unconscious processes. Then our conscious mind creates a believable narrative about why we made that decision. And we believe the narrative completely. Now let's talk about attention, another domain where your brain systematically lies to you. You think you're aware of everything happening around you, but you're not. Your brain is incredibly selective about what it allows into your consciousness. There's a famous experiment called the invisible gorilla study. Subjects were asked to watch a video of people passing basketballs and count the number of passes. About halfway through the video, a person in a gorilla suit walks into the frame, beats their chest, and walks off. They're on screen for 9 seconds. About 50% of subjects didn't see the gorilla at all. Not because their eyes didn't receive the information, the image was right there on their retina, but because their brain filtered it out. Their attention was focused on counting passes, so their brain decided the gorilla wasn't important and didn't allow it into conscious awareness. This phenomenon is called inattentional blindness, and it happens to you constantly. Your brain is filtering out massive amounts of information every second, deciding what's important enough for you to consciously experience. You're not seeing reality. You're seeing a heavily curated, filtered version of reality that your brain has decided you need to see. And it gets worse. Once your brain decides something isn't important, it becomes almost impossible to notice, even if it's right in front of you. This is why people can look for their keys for 10 minutes when they're sitting on the table in plain sight. Their brain has decided those aren't keys and filters them out of awareness. Here's another lie your brain tells, that emotions are reactions to the world. You think, something happened, and that made me angry. Or, I saw something beautiful, and that made me happy. You experience emotions as if they're being caused by external events. But neuroscience research by Lisa Feldman Barrett and others has shown that's not how it works. Emotions are not reactions. They're predictions. They're constructions. Your brain is constantly monitoring your body's internal state, heart rate, breathing, hormone levels, gut sensations. Then it asks, given my current bodily state and the situation I'm in, what emotion am I probably feeling? It's making an educated guess, a prediction, based on past experience. Then it constructs that emotion and presents it to your consciousness as if it were a direct response to external circumstances. This is why the same event can trigger different emotions in different people, or even in the same person at different times. It's not the event causing the emotion directly, it's your brain's interpretation and prediction based on context and internal state. Your brain is so committed to this constructed emotion that it will actually alter your perception of the world to match the emotion. If your brain predicts you should be afraid, it will make ambiguous stimuli appear more threatening. If it predicts you should be happy, those same stimuli will appear benign or positive. Your emotions are not showing you reality. They're showing you your brain's best guess about how you should feel. Let me introduce you to one of the most important parts of your brain, something neuroscientists call the interpreter. The interpreter is located primarily in your left hemisphere, and its job is to create coherent narratives that explain your behavior, your experiences, your decisions. It's constantly generating stories about who you are and why you do what you do. The problem? The interpreter doesn't actually have access to most of the unconscious processes driving your behavior. So it makes things up. It fabricates plausible-sounding explanations based on limited information. And here's the disturbing part. You can't tell when it's doing this. The explanations feel completely true and accurate to you. Research by Michael Gazzaniga and others has shown that the interpreter will instantly create explanations for behaviors it doesn't understand, and it does so with complete confidence. Ask someone why they chose a particular product in a store, and they'll give you detailed reasons, the quality, the price, the features. But eye tracking studies show that often they chose it simply because it was at eye level or in their dominant hand's reach. The reasons they gave were fabrications created by the interpreter after the fact. Your brain is constantly rewriting your personal history, creating narratives that make you appear more rational, more consistent, more in control than you actually are. This is why people can hold contradictory beliefs without noticing. This is why we can behave hypocritically and not see it. The interpreter creates separate stories for different contexts, and as long as those contexts don't overlap, we never notice the contradiction. Neuroscientist Anil Seth has a provocative way of describing perception. We're all hallucinating all the time. When we agree about our hallucinations, we call it reality. Think about what that means. Your brain is not passively receiving information from the world and showing it to you. It's actively predicting what should be there based on past experience, then checking whether incoming sensory data matches those predictions. Most of what you experience is the prediction, not the actual sensory data. The sensory data is just used to check and update the prediction. This is incredibly efficient. Your brain would be overwhelmed if it had to consciously process every single bit of sensory information. So instead, it runs a predictive model and only brings to your attention the things that don't match expectations. The prediction errors. But this means your experience of reality is dominated by your expectations, your memories, your beliefs, not by what's actually there. This is why eyewitness testimony is so unreliable. Two people witnessing the same event will have genuinely different memories of it because they had different expectations, different focuses of attention, different emotional states. Their brains constructed different versions of reality. This is why confirmation bias is so powerful. Your brain is literally constructing a version of reality that confirms what you already believe. Information that contradicts your beliefs is filtered out, misinterpreted, or forgotten. You're not seeing the world as it is. You're seeing the world as you expect it to be. Now you might be wondering, if my brain is lying to me about so much, why? What's the point? The answer is simple. Your brain's job is not to show you truth. Your brain's job is to keep you alive and help you reproduce. Truth is expensive. Processing every bit of sensory information accurately would require enormous computational resources and energy. Your brain, which is only about 2% of your body weight, already uses about 20% of your energy. Evolution didn't optimize for truth. It optimized for survival. And most of the time, quick, efficient approximations work better than slow, accurate processing. It's more important to quickly detect a potential threat and react, even if you're wrong sometimes, than to carefully analyze whether that rustling in the bushes is actually a predator. The cost of a false positive is low. The cost of a false negative could be death. So your brain takes shortcuts. It makes assumptions. It fills in gaps. It constructs simplified models of reality that are good enough to navigate the world successfully. And for millions of years of human evolution, this worked perfectly. These lies kept our ancestors alive. But here's the problem. We no longer live in that environment. We live in a complex, information-rich world where these shortcuts can lead us seriously astray. Your brain's assumptions about how the world works were calibrated for small tribal groups on the African savanna. They were not calibrated for modern cities, social media, global economics, or scientific reasoning. So what do you do with this information? How do you live knowing your brain is constantly lying to you? First, humility. Recognize that your perceptions, your memories, your certainties might be wrong. What feels obviously true to you might be a construction, a prediction, a fabrication. Second, skepticism. Question your immediate reactions, especially strong emotional ones. Ask yourself, is this really what's happening, or is this what my brain expects to be happening? Third, systems and processes. Since you can't trust your individual perceptions and memories, create external systems. Write things down, use checklists, collect data, build processes that don't rely on your fallible brain. Fourth, seek disconfirming evidence. Your brain will naturally seek information that confirms what you already believe. Deliberately look for evidence that contradicts your beliefs. It's uncomfortable, but it's the only way to get closer to truth. Fifth, practice metacognition. Think about your thinking. Notice when you're making snap judgments. Notice when you're creating narratives. Notice when you're filtering information. The goal is not to stop your brain from lying. That's impossible. These mechanisms are hardwired too deeply. The goal is to become aware of the lies, to catch yourself in the act, to create a small gap between perception and belief. Because here's the beautiful, empowering truth hidden in all of this. Once you understand how your brain lies to you, you gain a kind of freedom. You're no longer imprisoned by your immediate perceptions and reactions. You can question them. You can look deeper. You can choose different responses. You can't see reality directly. That's not how brains work. But you can become aware that what you're seeing is a construction. And that awareness, that metacognitive distance, is the closest thing we have to objectivity. Your brain is lying to you right now. It's been lying to you your entire life. It will continue lying to you until the day you die. But now you know. And knowing is the first step towards seeing more clearly. The person who started watching this video had certain assumptions about how their mind works. If I've done my job, those assumptions have been unsettled. You're different now, more uncertain perhaps, but also more aware. And awareness, even uncomfortable awareness, is always better than comfortable illusion. Thank you. Now go forth with your lying brain and use it wisely.